Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. Now, the world of sport is such a thing that more often than not, there's so many things that tend to happen when all of us, whether that be you, me or anyone else, is catching up on some all-important sleep. The world of sport, however, does not really sleep. So in this daily video, what we tend to do is bring you a wrap of some of the latest happenings that took place which you may have missed out on whilst you were catching up on some rest. So without any further ado, let's just get straight to it. And let's first talk about a little bit of a thing that's been happening in the Ashes. Now, Carey, remember, has been one of those batsmen who's been rather impressive for Australia in recent times, but he was criticized just a little bit when on tour to India for more often than not looking to employ a reverse sweep shot that, truth be told, just was not working for him. Now, he's dropped that shot for the most part. He prefers instead playing a conventional sweep shot against the spinners. And one of the reasons he ended up doing that was because he was advised by not only his, let's say, teammate Steven Smith, but also by Virat Kohli, because he revealed in the post-match press conference, he said that, or post-day press conference rather, he said that, when you have guys like Virat Kohli and Steve Smith telling you, what do you have to do that for with regards to your reverse sweep, probably best to eliminate it for your game. Carey would also go on to reveal, in fact, that he was getting admonished not just by his teammates, but even his wife at one point for consistently employing a shot that, truth be told, just wasn't working for him. The good news is that now he's dropped that shot and he's able to consistently get those counter-attacking runs for Australia lower down the order. And even though he did try it once during the first test in the Ashes, he did so once he had gotten past his 50 and once he sensed that there was an opportunity to attack. So he used it smartly rather than just using it for the sake of it or as a get out of jail shot. That's the interesting part, and this is, of course, one of the more interesting news that you will get in terms of positivity, because again, the next bit of news that we're bringing to you, well, it's a familiar bit of chaos that has more often than not engulfed this particular board. The Pakistan Cricket Board is once again without a leader, and the reason for that is that Najam Sethi, the man who was in fact the interim chairman of the Pakistan Cricket Board, has now pulled out of the race to be the next permanent or full-time chairman. Now, again, the reason that he stated, and he said so in a tweet himself, is that he didn't want to be the source of political contention, and this is where it really comes down to the politics of things. You'd remember that, of course, the Pakistan Cricket Board, whoever is the chairman, more often than not, has the backing of the ruling party. Now, in this case, the ruling party is a coalition in Pakistan, and there were disagreements between both parties of the coalition as to who the candidate would be. Now, that's where it really came down to whether it was going to be Najam Sethi or another candidate who has previously, of course, also headed the PCB. And Najam Sethi said in a tweet that he's withdrawing from the race because, truth be told, he doesn't want to be the source of contention. We'll have a longer video up on this. For now, that's the news update, so you can stay tuned and watch out for that particular, video where we'll do a little deep dive into the politics of what goes on at the PCB and why it is that Najam Sethi has had a rather disruptive tenure, you can say, as the PCB chairman, even if it was only an interim one. Next bit of news we have regards the Ashes, and of course you are set for a pretty thrilling final day of action. Day 5 of the first test at Edgbaston will be taking place later on today, and don't forget, right now the test is very finely poised. Australia have lost 2 wickets, but they've gotten over 100 runs. And truth be told, it does in fact look like it could be, one of those tests that go either way. If England get a couple of early wickets, swings in their favour, Australia get a good partnership, the match is very much in their favour, even with the impending threat of a rain, disruption. Now, David Warner, who actually made a good start to, proceedings towards the end of day 4, but ended up getting dismissed by Ollie Robinson, not Stuart Broad this time, but Robinson, said that for Australia, the mantra will be simple going into day 5. We need to go out there, respect every ball, look to play long and punish the bad balls. Saying that, yes, there is a rain threat in place, but that's not something that can really be helped by any of us. Saying that being said, you don't have to lose your head, you just have to play sensible cricket, and the target is very much within Australia's reach. And it's easy to understand why, because the pitch doesn't look like it's becoming as tough to bat on as most people anticipated it would. Yes, it is offering up a significant bit of turn, but if you get your eye in, the Edgbaston pitch is still very, very good to bat on, and that's something that Warner himself confirmed, saying that this is a pitch that does have runs once you get settled. So it's going to be an exciting day for sure. Do you think Warner's right? Well, you can let us know. But switching our focus now from the world of cricket and to the world of football, and Kylian Mbappe, this man who has been in the news for whether it be interesting, right or wrong reasons, well, this time he's in the news for the right reasons because his penalty conversion ended up ensuring that France got a 1-0 win over Greece in their UEFA Euro 2024 qualifier match. Now, of course, this time around there are qualifiers taking place at the end of the season. You even had the Nations League final and third and fourth place playoff take place recently. So this week, of course, will be the end of that international week. But it's an interesting win for France, which of course means that, they do get into a good position with regards to their qualification for the tournament that is taking place in 2024. It's also a good sign for Mbappe because he was on fire. He actually even set up a couple of chances, could have had another goal or two. So all in all, pretty good game for Mbappe. And now speaking of Mbappe, let's turn our attentions to a team that actually ended up defeating Mbappe and France in the World Cup final. Argentina. Argentina are currently doing a little bit of a tour of Asia, and they in fact took on Indonesia in a match that, truth be told, they made very hard work of. Yes, Argentina won the match 2-0, but despite the fact that Argentina are world champions and that Indonesia are ranked 149th in the world as we speak, they made it very tough. Indonesia were dogged in their defense, and let's be fair, you have to give them that credit. And Argentina were playing this match without Lionel Messi, choosing to give him a little bit of rest. And that's probably also one of the reasons why they looked a little bit, pedestrian in their approach. But in the end, Argentina ended up getting the victory. And just a little bit of a teaser also for you guys, Argentina, believe it or not, could have actually been playing a football match in India in recent times had it so come down to it. Why that didn't happen, well, we'll have a separate video up on that as well, so stay tuned. Definitely it's something we would have liked to have seen, but just didn't happen. This tour of Asia, believe it or not, could have included a stop at India as well. In more football news, England, who had made the finals of the Euro 2020, ended up thrashing North Macedonia 7-0 in their Euro qualifier. And it was a win that, as you can guess by the scoreline, was a pretty easy one. Bukayo Saka got a hat-trick, Harry Kane and Marcus Rashford got a brace. Pretty easy victory all around. And of course, you were never expecting North Macedonia to be that much of a threat. But it's good for England that they are able to dispatch sides like this because, of course, it does build that confidence and it also helps them actually reach that point wherein they could, let's say, go one better than they did in 2020. And, they just about missed out on it in a penalty shootout. Could they win their first European Championship in 2024? Who knows? But the side are definitely preparing very well as things stand. Now, switching our focus from the world of football to the world of sports beyond both cricket and football. And there is a bit of bad news for, the Indian wrestlers. And this isn't down to anything that is directly related to the protest, but it is about the Asian Games and how the protests could in fact impact their preparations. Now, the wrestlers had recently requested the Wrestling Federation of India to actually ensure that the names for the Asian Games were submitted a little later because due to the fact that they were protesting, they've not had any time whatsoever to get down to preparation for the trials. Unfortunately, the problem is that it's not necessarily in the hands of the WFI. In fact, the OCA, or the Olympic Committee of Asia, which is the governing body that does overlook or look after the Asian Games, has said very clearly that there can be no extension to the deadline which was given, and the deadline is July 15th. That is the name or the time by which you have to submit the name of the wrestler or the names of the wrestlers who will be taking part in the Asian Games. Now, before the WFI can do that, they'd of course have to hold trials, but as you know, today in itself is 20th of June, so that's very little time, and that's why the wrestlers had asked for an extension. That extension seems unlikely to actually be coming their way, and that's a big blow, and we'll be doing another video later on in the day on how exactly it is this has become such a big problem recently. Stay tuned for that as well. Ending with a bit of tennis news, and the tennis news is that Novak Djokovic recently won the French Open, but he might not enter Wimbledon as the world #1 ranked player. How exactly is that? Well, Djokovic has already confirmed that he won't be playing any tournaments in the lead up to Wimbledon, which means that his ranking points will stay stagnant even though he is the world #1 right now. His nearest rival is, of course, the man who he beat in the French Open semis, Carlos Alcaraz, and the gap between them really isn't a lot. Now, Alcaraz is, of course, playing the Queen's ATP men's event, which is taking place, or which will be starting soon. And should he win that, it's an ATP 500 event, gives him 500 ranking points, and if he goes the distance there, it does ensure that he'll leapfrog Djokovic and become the world #1 once again. Why is that a bit of an issue? Well, because being world number 1 or being number 2, depending on what your world ranking is ahead of Wimbledon, that's where you get seeded. So if Alcaraz dethrones Djokovic again, that means he's the number 1 seed, and the seedings of course impact where it is that you'll be drawn in the draw for the rounds of for the first round, and of course it'll also impact the kind of opponents you could potentially get in the semis and the finals, where of course you want relatively easier opponents, or you want better draw. So will this happen though? That's something that remains to be seen. But that's it from us from this edition of the Morning Wrap with Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, you can go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done in the past. But for now, from my side, goodbye and stay tuned to Sports Today.